Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, sponsored by Indigo Communications. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me in the studio. We're back from Madrid and we've got lots to talk about. European football. Hearts bow out of Europe. Looking at the whole European game campaign, we'll be looking at Rangers and Celtic. Celtic obviously have been speaking today with the AGM in mind. We'll hear from Ange Postecoglou. And Cholak, the centre forward for Rangers, saying he's chasing the golden boot. Just a few of the topics you can give us your thoughts on the programme today. So we're back, Ruffy. Yes. Tam's here.
Yep. Would
Tam have enjoyed Madrid?
Yeah, I think he would have. I think.
Seriously?
Yeah. We had a lot of Celtic supporters asking for him. No, where is he?
Yeah. It was a great trip, Tam. Really first class. The stadium was magnificent, Ruffy, wasn't it?
I mean, as soon as we went in there, and it was obviously when we got in there, it was empty, and then the fans started coming in and their numbers, and it was just with a great viewing point right in the middle. But what an atmosphere! And you said, imagine being a season ticket holder here. Imagine watching this every fortnight. It's just superb.
Yeah, imagine being a fan of a club where your main expectation is we want to win the Champions League every season, Tam.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're one of the great clubs in European football, aren't they? Obviously won it last year against all the odds, I thought. You know, they beat all the big English teams, beat PSG. And you wouldn't bat against them again this season. They looked really, really strong. But to be fair to Celtic, they went and had a go at 3-0. I thought, Ange might have, pulled the reins back a wee bit and just took a 3 or 4. But they kept going and they gave the Celtic fans, and there was thousands there. You've obviously seen them all, but they gave them what they wanted, and that was a goal, and it was a fantastic goal, and I think that made the journey worthwhile for a lot of punters.
Yeah, that's our quiz today. Who was the last Celtic player to score on the Bernabeu before Jota? There's your quiz question. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. But thank you to so many of you who've taken up our offer of joining the football family here on PLZ Soccer on the YouTube channel. If you hit the subscribe button, well, you get uncensored football news and banter, of course, and it's absolutely free. So that's something that you can look forward to on a regular basis. And if you want the constant updates and breaking news, then download our PLZ Soccer app. We'd love to see you following us on the phone, as well as the laptop and the PC, and of course any tablet that you might have, because there's lots of unique content there. So with that in mind, we'll talk a little bit more about Madrid, much to your annoyance, Tam, but we will discuss European football and the overall effect of Hearts being involved, Celtic and Rangers. Hearts finished it all off third in the table after that 3-1 defeat to Istanbul Başakşehir, and here's how the table looks. I think it's respectable for them, roughly 2 wins out of it, and each win gets you £434,000.
Yeah, and the other side of it as well, the team haven't been in Europe for a long time, so they'll have experienced some highs, although there was a lot of lows in the results. But to be there and be part of it and going away and taking your supporters away with you, the supporters will remember it for a long time as well. And Hearts, like the other 2 teams, have fallen into the category of this is a learning curve.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that's the catchphrase for everyone for this European campaign. Although I have to say, Hearts, the first goal they conceded was poor, Tam. I mean, it's travelled a long way from that corner, and a free header for them.
Yeah, it was shocking defending. You wouldn't expect a Hearts team to lose a goal like that. Just a good ball in, but the guys get to feed him a turkey. You go and header it in, and Hearts are up against it. I thought they'd done well just to hang in there, because it could have got away from them again, as it did at Tynecastle. And again, towards the end of the game, they get the goal for Atkinson, and there was again thousands of Hearts fans travelled over to Istanbul, and that made it all worthwhile for them to celebrate a goal. Listen, Hearts were out of depth in that group with the top 2, and I think that the mistake they picked up was the 2 wins against RFS, the Latvian team, which they done, and they got the money for that. So I think they can be quite happy with their what they gained in that, in terms of the 2 wins and the money they gained, and they can go again next season.
Yeah, £3.5 million in the kitty. It could have been so much more, Ruffy. I was hoping that I got into the Europa League. As far as overall as a goalkeeper, we praise Craig Gordon on this programme regularly, Ruffy, but he had a couple of howlers.
Yeah, well, Craig Gordon, as we all know, is the best shot stopper we've got. He makes the big saves. but don't have him coming out to the edge of his box or coming out to anywhere outside the 6-yard box, because he just loses it completely. It's not the first time. Remember, he halved somebody in two. I think it was at Parkhead at the edge of the... He just can't seem to read the situation, you know, when he's got to make that decision. But these things happen. I mean, all goalkeepers are going to make mistakes here and there, but he certainly makes some really good saves, more than the bad ones.
Yeah, elsewhere for the British clubs in the Europa Conference, Arsenal 1, Zurich 0. Kieran Tierney, what a strike that was, Tam.
Great strike. You know, ball comes to the edge of the box and he gets his goal, and it's a battle for him at the minute to try and get in the team. You know, he's on the bench just now, and that was a good run out for him. You know, they've obviously got a huge game against Chelsea, but it's good to see him fit and playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Real Sociedad 0, Man United 1, and FCSB 0, West Ham 3. So positive results for the English clubs. Scottish clubs, I think Tam used the phrase there, just a wee bit out of their depth at times. And let's talk about the overall European campaign, Ruffy, because I think Ange Postecoglou, looking back on it, realises there was a huge learning curve. They may well have had, I think, something like 76 shots over the 6 games, but really only had 4 goals to show for it.
Yeah, but I think that the supporters are bought into everything Ange is saying. You know, there is a style of football there that is exciting to watch, no matter who you're playing, and no matter what the score is at the end of it. There was bits in the Real Madrid game which were good to watch, you know, and it made it a wee bit exciting. Obviously they came out on top, well on top at the end, but certainly, you know, everything he seems to say, even at the press conferences, he wants everybody to hang on in there. There's going to be a better player coming in, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's now up to him, you know, to produce all these for next year. First of all, obviously they have to win the league, but certainly if everything comes to fruition that he's saying, then things will be good at Celtic Park.
Yeah, well, I think what he was talking about was if they're going to sell on some top players, they're going to have to be aggressive, and they're also going to have to be agile in the transfer market, Tam.
Yeah, listen, I think you can all see what Ange's trying to do at Celtic, and you know, we spoke about maybe shutting up shop at 3 or 4-0, but I don't think he'll ever do that. I think that Celtic go to the Bernabeu and they create numerous opportunities. They miss a penalty kick. There's not many teams that go to Real Madrid and do that, and I think even the Real Madrid fans would have been surprised at a team coming and being so open. You know, and at times when it went to 4, you know, at 5, you might think this could be 7 or 8 here. But Celtic kept going, kept creating chances. They're just got to be better defensively. You know, and some of the goals, listen, one of the penalties I thought was harsh, second penalty. But defensively, going forward, they've just got to be better. I think they're capable of creating chances and scoring goals, but they've got to have a better spine about them, a better bit of, you know, just depth in terms of defensive duties, and I think if they can get that, then they can go and cause teams more problems, because going forward I think Celtic, you know, look really, really good at the minute, but defensively against the top teams, they still look as if they're going to ship 4 or 5.
Well, if anything, the positive from it was the money that both Celtic and Rangers received, although some of the distribution figures are out from UEFA. And Celtic have earned, I think, around €9 million more than Rangers for this participation in this group stage, Ruffy. Of course, this is basically Celtic taking 29 million, Rangers got 20 million. I think Celtic managed to get themselves 1.9 million for the 2 draws that you get in the group. Rangers obviously didn't get anything overall, and you know, that type of money will help if he's going to look for new faces.
Yeah, it's a vast amount of money, you know, but you have to spend it wisely. The way ahead looks like identifying youngish players who haven't established it at the foreign clubs, and maybe taking a gamble and paying 4 million for them, 5 million, and hoping that they are going to in a couple of years be a 10 million or a 12 million. Celtic will be very fortunate in that market for a wee while there, and selling people on. So yeah, I mean, it is exciting if these things happen, you know, and they bring in really good players that nobody's really heard of yet.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing though, and let's be realistic about it. You know, there's a lot of, I think, pain for Rangers fans over what they were watching and where they ended up. And of course, you know, if you were on social media and you're a Rangers fan, you just try and avoid half the memes that were going about, because it's not exactly a good record to hold. But I would say this, Tam, of all the situations that we've witnessed between Celtic and Rangers in this European campaign, they were top 4 teams, and 8 teams in pot 4, only Bruges qualified. It was so difficult to get results. Some clubs, were lucky to even get a goal to celebrate who were in pot 4.
Yeah, I think the gap's getting bigger. Obviously, I think the top 2 seeds in most of the groups go through. Your big English clubs, your big, French clubs, German clubs, they're always the ones at the forefront, and I think it's very difficult for your pot 3, pot 4 to try and compete with them, just because of the financial muscle that the clubs have got. I think in terms of trying to get into 3rd place, I think Celtic definitely had an easier group than Rangers. I think when you look at Rangers' group, Liverpool not playing particularly well, but still, a big European powerhouse. Napoli looked superb, and Ajax looked good as well in the 2 games against Rangers. Celtic, I think they'll be disappointed that they couldn't beat Shakhtar. I think they should have beat them away from home, even at home as well. So I think that'll be a regret for Celtic that they never, got into that 3rd place.
And it's actually their worst campaign in the 11 seasons they've been involved in it.
Yeah, that tells you everything. So I just think that Celtic will be. I think they'd have looked at, particularly after the first game, when they played really, really well against Real Madrid in the first half. They came out with a lot of credit in that game, and then they go to Shakhtar away from home and get a point and should have won. I think after that, a lot of Celtic supporters thought, listen, we can get 3rd place here. We can even maybe challenge for 2nd place, and it just didn't materialise.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, one thing I'm looking at Rangers' campaign. If Celtic are thinking about how vital recruitment is, I think there's a huge overhaul coming at Rangers as well. I think there needs to be, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think there is, and also, I think that they need to get some big players back in as well. I think the Rangers supporters are now getting a wee bit fed up with, what players are staying, what players are going, what players have been here too long, what players have been saying they're wanting to leave. I think they do really need to get 2 or 3 out the door who don't really want to be there and use the money wisely.
Yeah, one thing that I did learn from both camps, Tam, is atmosphere counts for nothing. Not in the Champions League.
No,
it doesn't.
Because these teams are used to playing in front of huge crowds, and a lot of these teams are just comfortable. Even Shakhtar, when they came to Parkhead, comfortable in the ball, as you spoke about, Ruffy. That Celtic and Rangers, advantage that they used to have. When teams would come here and be terrified and freeze, it just doesn't happen now. Particularly in the Champions League, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, okay. That's Champions League football, that's Europa Conference League football. You can give us your view on your team. What do you think of the overall campaign? What do you think of some of the individual performances, and what's needed for the teams to be bigger and better? Not just Celtic and Rangers, but obviously Hearts would like to develop. If we could get another team that could suddenly be in a position to qualify for the group stages of European football at any level, then that brings them some much valued cash in the door. But it's hard when you look at Motherwell's performance to get another team other than the likes of a Hearts, Celtic and a Rangers. Could Hibs maybe make a push, or Aberdeen, which we all like to talk about as well with their great history? You can give us your view on that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. To the Scottish Premiership, here's the fixtures. This is what we've got to look forward to over the course of Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Aberdeen against Hibs and Kilmarnock Livingston tonight. Celtic against Dundee United and Ross County against St Mirren on the Saturday. And on the Sunday, it's St Johnstone Rangers and Hearts against Motherwell. So it's scattered all the way across Friday, Saturday and Sunday. This Friday experiment is interesting, Tam, just to see if they get more fans in.
Yeah, I think it's American owners that are pushing it. They want to try something different, particularly in trying to attract some sponsors or viewers in America at different times. They are around 3 o'clock on a Saturday, I spoke about it before. Played over in America, and that can be like 9 in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning, depending where you are in America. So I think they're trying to get it and try to tap into a different market. And I'm all for it. I think that if you're trying something different in Scottish football, as long as the fans are backing it, I think there'll be a good crowd there tonight. I think Hibs have sold 1,700 tickets to go up there, which is a great away support. So I think there'll be a good crowd in there. Hopefully it's a good game. Plenty of goals, plenty of entertainment, and these fans want to go back on a Friday night.
What about the predictor, Ruffy? Before we start looking at the games individually, the predictor is mightily tight. Apart from yourself, you've got yourself right out in front in 114, but look at everything below now. I'm on 107. Alison's on 104. Tam himself sitting there is on 100. And then a point behind him now is Tam Cowan on 99 and Hugh McDonald on 86. That tells me, Ruffy, that it's going to be mightily tight once we hit the break and then beyond that.
Yeah, I would think everybody behind and top of Mr. McDonald would be hoping he doesn't have a mad weekend, because if he has a mad weekend with maybe 14, 15, 16 points, there'll be a few people panicking just above him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's had a few good ones.
Rangers to keep winning.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say.
Rangers going a good run. He's
just, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the football. Aberdeen against Hibs. I'm delighted that, Martin Boyle, he might have to play through the pain barrier, he says, but it looks as if he's been given at least the all clear. Whether that involves him against Aberdeen, who knows? I thought I think he might be careful with him, Lee Johnson.
Yeah, I think obviously he's got the World Cup coming up as well, which will be foremost in his mind. He wants to go and play for Australia there, but he's a huge player for Hibs. Scored last week. They need him in the team. They need his pace at the top end of the pitch, and if they can get that, then I think they can go and get a result tonight at Pittodrie. But if he's not playing, I think that would be a huge blow. So we just need to wait and see the teams. But Martin is integral for the way Hibs play.
It's a massive dilemma for the boy if he's carrying an injury and he's so many weeks away for a World Cup. If you put him on the park and he knows he's got that injury, depending how bad it is, you're going to get 100% out of him.
Well, you know what it's like, Ruffy. How many professional players have taken an injection because they want to try and get there? Not the right thing to do sometimes, but
no, in the long term it isn't. But I mean, short term, particularly, we spoke about it the other day there, how many players have missed going to a World Cup final, never ever getting back there just because of a silly injury.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you ever close to it, or were you always just avoiding that kind of thing?
An injury?
Yeah.
Never had an injury.
Never had. Of course, injuries come when you actually have contact.
Centre-halves in front of me get injuries.
Yeah. If you have contact with players, you get injuries.
The 50-50 tackles, you brave? Did you dive at striker's feet?
But as I've said numerous occasions, when I dived at players' feet in my day, they jumped over the top of you. They didn't leave their boot in to see what they could get.
Oh, I see it now. That's the headline.
Yes.
So they do that now, you think?
Yeah, most definitely do that now.
Ruffy says players are dirtier now.
I would have said the opposite as well.
Yeah, I would have thought.
Are you kidding me on?
You think so?
Players come in and they see the goalkeeper diving at the feet and they don't jump out the road. They just sort of
throw their leg in.
Throw a wee leg in and a wee...
I've never done that at goalie.
No?
You jump to the top of him?
Always jump over him.
I hope you, honestly, there are people now who don't even go out to nightclubs, Tam, who are now scouring every video to see you putting the boot into someone. Okay, nevertheless, I did, last weekend when I was watching Hibs at Easter Road, it was one of those strange games where I don't think they're firing on all cylinders, but they got the points, and Lee Johnson's quick to point out that they maybe, on reflection, should have had even more points over the course of the season so far.
We've talked a lot about Ryan's leadership and Ryan's qualities, and we want to keep developing his resilience, his mental strength, and that ability to be calm. He's a player that plays with a lot of fire in the belly, and what comes with that is the need for the ice in the head.
Okay, that's not the actual clip that I thought we were going to play, Ruffy. He's talking about Ryan Porteous, but he did also mention at the press conference that he reckons Hibs should have picked up more points than they should have.
Well, I wouldn't agree with that. I think any of the times they've not picked up points have deserved everything they got. I can see where he's coming from. Maybe he's, from a manager's point of view, if they'd taken a chance here and a chance there, it might have been different. But I think he's got to go on a run now. A good result last week. He's got to convince everybody that they are good enough to go on a maybe 2, 3, 4 winning run, and this would be a great place to start.
Jim Goodwin's ban's been cut to 3 games, which I think is good for Jim. He can maybe get down and have an influence pitch side. Doesn't make that much of a difference, Tam, if you get the manager down close to the track side shouting.
It might make more difference to the manager for him to make sure he's getting his message across rather than in the stand and relaying it to an assistant manager who's sitting at the pitch. As an ex-player myself, whether it was a manager shouting at me or an assistant manager, it's still at the same level. It wasn't as if that's a number 2 shout, I'm not going to do that. It's still a coach, you're still a first team coaching member that's giving you instructions. So I don't think it would matter too much to the players, but maybe to him, it would be better for him, because he looks as if he likes to be down on the touchline and getting involved, you know, getting in the ear of referees, or linesmen, or his own players, opposition players. So, you know, I don't think he'll be coming out again and slaughtering opposition players that way.
Ruffy, what did you go for?
I went for Aberdeen 2, Hibs 1.
Right, I've gone for Aberdeen 2, Hibs 0.
He's went, honestly, very rarely does he bet against Hibs. You know, if you're thinking about Hugh getting closer. I've went for Hibs to get a draw. I was going to go for Aberdeen to win, to be honest, because Hibs have got a dreadful record up there. I think they've won once in the last 9 or 10 years at Pittodrie, and I was at the game last year when Christian Doyle scored, so I'm going to go for one each. I think Hibs are good enough to go up there and get a point.
Yep, okay. Kilmarnock against Livingston. I think Derek McInnes, I think he's a fan of this new Friday night football.
I think it does offer something a wee bit different. I think a midweek game under the lights is always a bit extra special, and the fact that it's still start of the weekend. You know, I think these games are always the way that if you win it, you feel brilliant for the whole weekend, and you can go and watch a game on a Saturday knowing that you've won and enjoy everything else in front of you. So, but again, if you lose it, it can be an even tougher weekend. So, but I like the thought of it. You know, I think the fans will respond, will come out in good numbers.
Well, fair play to Derek, he's been positive about it.
Yeah, I think the fans will love it. I mean, everybody likes the 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, but when it goes on month after month, if somebody throws out something different, I'm sure, you know, if a group of guys going to a game could go to the pub for a wee while longer or whatever, as long as the tee-off time isn't ridiculous, that somebody's travelling right after work to get up there and just getting in and then they're away back down again. As long as the kick-off times are respectable, I don't have a problem with it.
Derek McInnes also mentioned something which I think is pertinent to some of the VAR decisions. He says he wants to see the best refs on the pitch rather than back in the VAR studio.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. I think you've got to try and get the decisions right on the pitch, so you don't need to go to VAR. You don't need to go to the studio or you know, the referees sitting there. So I think he's totally correct in that. I'd agree with that you've got to have the best referees on the park. You know, and the disappointing thing with the Tony Watt one last week is, you know, I didn't think it personally. I didn't think it was a red card. I thought the VAR, you know, when the referee went to the VAR, that they would have overturned that, but they said it was a red card, and then obviously the compliance officer, I think, has said that, you know, he's overturned it and Tony Watt can play again. So that's not a good start for VAR in this country, and I think that they've got to sort that out, because I didn't think that was a red card. I thought it would get overturned.
Yeah, okay, it went in his favour. We'll talk about Tony Watt. Thanks to so many of you for your predictions as well. Andrew Breslin says Hibs will win simple. Thomas McDougall says Aberdeen and Kilmarnock a double tonight. Peter says Thomas, we will see on that. As far as David Martin, Livingston never a good side to play against. It always make it difficult. Good footballing side at times as well. The artificial surface won't worry them. And David Martindale reckons now that Celtic and Rangers are out of Europe, and Hearts as well, this league is about to just get even more intense.
It's going to be a really, really competitive league. It is just now, but I think that's going to get more intense after the World Cup. So these next 3 games for everybody is hugely important to try and pick as many points up as you can. But I'd be sitting here telling lies if I think I want 9. But there's no guarantee we can go and do that, and every club's the same. So there's no divine right at this level with the 3 teams we've got coming up that we can go and pick points up.
It's a very good point he makes. These next 3 matches at times, Ruffy, for every club in the Scottish Premiership will determine that mood before the window opens for the transfers as well.
Yeah, it definitely does, and for the supporters' point of view as well. If you're one of the teams that don't do particularly well in the next 3 games, and you are down at the bottom of the league, adrift or whatever, it means that your fans have got a month to think about it. And the players have got a month to think about it, and it'll be a horrible month, you know, if you're in that position. But obviously if you do well in the 3 games, you know, it's good. It's going to be a good month. You're going to enjoy the World Cup and everything, but, you know, I don't think I would like to be doing the bottom of the league for a month. Yeah,
and the other thing about it, I think, David, far be it from me to blow his possibility of 9 out of the water, Tom, but he does have Kilmarnock, Aberdeen and Hearts.
Yeah, that's a tough run of fixtures. I think that Livingston would be happy to pick up 4 points, 5 points out of that. You know, it's a tough run, but you know, this game tonight, it's a very difficult one to call. As you said, you'd fancy Kilmarnock on that pitch, but Livingston play on that as well. So I've went for. I think El Plastico tonight will be a tight game. I'm going to go for 1 each.
You're happy with El Plastico, aren't you? El Plastico, it's brilliant, isn't it? Rafi,
I'm the same.
Yeah,
I'm the same.
A draw.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Oh.
I think the only way that Kilmarnock have been getting 2 goals is because of slips here or slips there or mistakes. I don't think Livingston will make that many mistakes, and if they let Livingston get a goal in this game, it'll be a tight one. So I've went for 1 each.
Okay, I've gone for Kilmarnock just to edge it by 1-0. I think it'll be tight, but we shall see. Give us your thoughts on how you think those games are going to go tonight. As far as Saturday, we've got 2 games on the Saturday in the Scottish Premiership to look forward to, and of course one of them is Celtic Dundee United. Incidentally, Celtic had their AGM this morning. Indeed, let's have a look at those key points to see exactly what came out of it. The new chairman is going to be announced to the Stock Exchange in due course. A lot of speculation that it's going to be Peter Lawwell who's announced as the chairman. The club are considering adopting a ticket exchange scheme for fans. That'll be an interesting one. I know that took place at the Bernabeu because Ruffy and I looked around the entire stadium and saw so many Celtic fans in the area. It was incredible. Unsavoury chants should be left outside the stadium, but it's not an issue unique to Celtic. So it'll be interesting to see what they're going to do about that on an ongoing basis. They're going to increase the capacity of Celtic Park, but it's a long-term plan, and the cost of season tickets amid cost of living crisis will be taken into account. So, roughly the obvious one there, I think a lot of people speculating that Celtic will increase the capacity of the stadium, and I think the most obvious area is the old main stand as you would walk in the glass doors, because that has the potential to go up.
Yeah, it certainly has, and I'm sure the people who deal with that kind of thing will be given as much advice as possible what to do. And it is a magnificent night, you know. Stadium, I mean, how many times is it going to, if it's another 5 or 10,000 or whatever like that? I know there are certain games that will fill the stadium, but you've got to be winning, you've got to be up there, you've got to be a successful side, because we all know what happens when you're not playing particularly well and you're not winning. These stadiums could be half full very, very quickly. So no, I think it's encouraging that they're trying to do that. See, just to go in another side there.
All right.
We saw the Bernabeu, and it's just something. We saw the Bernabeu with everything that's happening and that. I didn't know they were actually taking the pitch away. They were making room to take the pitch down.
Yeah.
As well as obviously the stadium going up.
Yeah.
And they're doing that to cater for the basketball team, to have basketball on the park.
I think they're going to have all sorts of events on it.
Yeah, but just as something, just that came with it.
Well, you know why they're doing that, don't you?
Well, money probably.
Rafi, Real Madrid are desperate for cash. I mean, a lot of them said, you know, it's a money-making machine, but it's a money-making machine that's still wondering how the heck they're going to keep pace with English football. Yeah,
I think that's going to be crucial to them. You know, increasing the capacity of the stadium, obviously. But as I say, they can go and get NBA games and NFL games, and you know, the Spanish basketball is quite big over there.
Yeah,
women's football and stuff like that. So they can concerts. So I think once they get that pitch down, it will enable them to do something similar to Spurs.
Yeah.
But Tottenham do. You know, they can get rid of that pitch and bring a brand new pitch on.
It wasn't a great pitch, I have to say, Tam. It was rutted. Not that it mattered, because as I said to Ruffy, your man here behind us, and look at the calibre of prize we've got to give away. See, November and December is going to be a belter, Tam. We have got basically quite a lot of memorabilia from all over the place and prizes that people can win.
Did Ruffy buy that?
Ahead of Christmas.
No, I was there watching.
Did you get in, Ruffy? Did you go to the club shop?
Can I say something to you? This is a God's honest truth. I went in there and I thought to myself, this is absolute heaven. You know what I'm like doing football stuff. So I thought, I'll get a few things in the queue. Keyring.
You got a keyring? At least I get 2 pint glasses.
He's so tight.
I know.
A keyring.
That tight he squeaks.
And of course, once we'd gone to the restaurant where the guy said to us, look, we'll pick up the tab, it's great to have you here. The big man battered the brandies, then took double brandies, then had a gin, then had 3 or 4 lagers. and he was absolute. I had to haul him out of the place. He was having such a good time. I'd half a shandy, and he was absolutely bladdered. And I thought to myself,
Great because it was free.
You couldn't have played with him in Argentina, off. You know, it's just these guys nowadays. They think
I have to put on record that he did save my life.
I did save his life because he almost ran out in front of a car because he didn't know which way.
Why did you do it? Why did you save him?
I know, Tom.
Jesus.
I thought about you, but he didn't realise what way the traffic was going. I said, "Come here, you know."
Side of the road.
Honestly, it's unbelievable. I feel as if I'm his carer. It's mental. But nevertheless, Celtic are taking on Dundee United, a far cry from the Bernabeu. But nevertheless, manager of the month, Ange Postecoglou, no surprise there. They've only lost one game in the league, and that's to St Mirren.
Yeah, you're right, you know, and they have been impressive. It's going to be an interesting one tomorrow, or whenever that game is with Dundee United, depending, you know, how Dundee United set about their stall. We all hear that teams like to go there and have a go. I think if that's the case and they do play an open game, they'll get thumped. So I've got a funny feeling there needs to be a rethink here for the team, for the players, for the supporters. I think they need to go there and just park the bus, or 2 buses or 3 buses, because they cannot afford to go there and get beat 6-0, 7-0, because if they are, they will be the team for that month that I'm talking about down the bottom of that league.
Yeah, well, they've had 3 consecutive losses. Tony Watt's going to be available, but I don't know about. It's a difficult time for Liam Fox. I think this is it's a baptism of fire for him, to be honest.
Yeah, I think when you inherit a team, you know, as soon as he did, you know, there wasn't a transfer window, there was no an opportunity to change the squad. You know, he's in there. He's just trying to, you know, keep in touch with the teams above him until we get to the window. You know, he'll get a break through the World Cup and then he'll be able to go and scout and maybe look to bring other players in January. But it is a very difficult time for him to come in, him and Stevie Crawford. But I don't think it matters what Dundee United do if they go and open up, they park the bus. I think Celtic will batter them. And I've went for 5-0, but I went for 5-0, and I was contemplating. Tam Cowens went for 7-0. And I genuinely think if Celtic got an early goal or two, it could be 5 or 6-0 easily.
Wow, what did you go for?
I've went for Dundee United parking the bus.
I thought you were going to say I went for Dundee United to get a point. Yeah.
Parking the bus, making it very, very difficult, and being organised. And I think I've just went for 2-0.
2-0, quite reserved. I've gone for 3-0 for Celtic, so you can give us your thoughts on that. Also, to be perfectly honest with you, you know, this is a Celtic side that will look to. Ange Postecoglou mentioned ship out a few players. Here's his thoughts on the transfers at Celtic.
When I talk about being agile, that, you know, we've got to really be open-minded about these things, and always without, you know, putting pressure on individuals or us forcing people out. I think there's a natural evolution of these things where the timing is right, and I think if the timing is right, if we've done our sort of planning correctly, we won't be in fear of letting someone go because we've already planned for that, and I think that has to happen.
Yeah, I think Ange is just getting everybody ready for the fact that, you know, players will be moving on, as Rangers will have to look to, as so many other clubs, including maybe even Dundee United, who've spent a lot of money in the transfer window. But Ange Postecoglou already talking about players moving on, some high-profile players, and then, you know, trying to regenerate the side and stimulate it for the second half of the season as well.
Yeah, I think first and foremost for Ange, he's got to keep his best players, and that's Callum McGregor, you know, Jota, Rabada, Giacomakis, guys like that, who Carter Vickers, you know, obviously who have signed. They've got to try and keep their best players, and I think that's crucial. And then you've got to look at, right, what areas can we improve?
I'll give. Do you want me to give you 6 players that I think might be heading out the door, or at least be, you know, you're looking, you're saying if they went out the door, you wouldn't be too surprised. Okay. Depending on if he gets Yuki Kobayashi, I wonder if Stephen Welsh will be thinking to himself, well, maybe I should start going to look for regular football. Moy, I think, will go in the summer. I think he's too slow for the way Ange wants to play.
He's playing him, but he's playing him regular.
Absolutely, I know, but I'm not overly enamoured with him. McCarthy, I think, will go.
Yeah.
Ideguchi.
It's not been seen, has he?
And then, of course, I'm going to amaze you with the next 2. There's real speculation that they could be offloading Kyogo. But Kyogo and Maeda, I wouldn't be surprised if they moved on, because I think Celtic in that final third do not have prolific strikers. Giacomakis has worked hard, did it. Kyogo for me and Maeda not really set the head on fire.
Yeah, I think domestically in the Scottish Premier League, I think they'll be fine. I think Kyogo will get his 20 goals, but I think he can get better in terms of Champions League. Listen, Kyogo's a good player, done really well for Celtic, but at the Champions League level, I think that Celtic can do better. So I think he'd be looking to either replace him with somebody in Europe or somebody maybe in Japan. Maeda, again, he seems to be an Ange favourite. He likes that high pressing game. He's got a great engine. He goes and closes down. He's great off the ball, but again, on the ball, is he going to get you goals in the Champions League? It's proven this season that he's not. So the other one I was looking at is Juranovic. I don't think he's been particularly good this season.
Not happy with him?
No. I know he missed a penalty the other night, but his general performances, I think last season, I thought he looked really, really good. This season, I don't think he's been quite the same player. I think Ralston will be putting his position under pressure soon.
Interesting. It's an interesting topic, Rafi. I'm sure everybody has their own favourites. Some people might actually scoff and be laughing at the thought of me suggesting Kyogo and Maeda, but if he's going to take it up another level, you only have to look at who's scored goals for them. 4 goals have scored in the Champions League. Domestically, it's a different kettle of fish, but I think there are bigger fish to fry for Ange Postecoglou. Ross County against St Mirren. Now, as far as Ross County are concerned in St Mirren, the next 3 games could be crucial. St Mirren have got County on Saturday, they've got St Johnstone and then Rangers, and they've been on such a good run. I think Stephen Robinson will be looking and thinking to himself, okay, 3 games there's a potential for 6 out of 9.
Yeah, I think he'll be looking at that fixture list and saying, unfortunately their away form isn't as good as their home form, but certainly against Ross County and the other one you mentioned there, but I just feel Ross County are now at the stage now they need to start winning games.
I knew it was coming, Ruffy.
They need to start winning games against teams like St Mirren, particularly at home, and if Malky's got any thoughts of not being at the bottom for a long time this season, this is the games they've got to win.
Well, I have to tell you, if I'm looking at St Mirren and saying 6 out of 9, I can't see where Malky's going to get the points. He's got St Mirren at home, which I think is a must-win for them just to stay in touch, because after that it's Hibs Celtic.
Yeah, difficult fixtures. I think,
and they're both away from home.
Oh well, this is the one. Ruffy spoke about it earlier. You don't want to get into this World Cup break at the bottom of the league. You don't want to get into a downer with 3-4 defeats in a row. And Ross County are really struggling this season. They don't seem to have the same spark going forward. They've not replaced the goals. Charles Reagan-Cook and who was the winger? Hungbo, sorry, it escapes me. So they two were crucial for them last season, and I don't think they've recruited the same level. So I think St Mirren are capable of going up there, grinding out something and getting a win. So I've went for 2-1 to the Saints.
I've got 1-1, Ruffy.
I'm sticking with the Staggies. I've went 2-1 the Staggies.
2-1 to results.
Oh, yes. 2-1 to win?
Yes.
Have you met Jan? Have you phoned her or something like that? Have you gone up to?
I just got a feeling she'll be on a bit of a downer, and we don't want her to be in a downer for a month during the World Cup. So let's put a smile on her face.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. So, Ruffy trying to obviously stay in Jan's good books, and thank God she's not on a bit of a downer. But he only comes on a Tuesday. So, that's our predictions for the Saturday. On the Sunday, St Johnstone against Rangers, and well done to Antonio Cholak. He's the player of the month for October. I mean, he scored 5 goals in October, 11 overall. Ruffy, I think for me, I think he's been a success. He can hold his head up of the signings they brought in.
Yeah, but Tam's touched on it hundreds of times. If you're a decent striker playing for Rangers and Celtic, you should be scoring 20-25 goals. The amount of balls that get put into the box, the left side, right side, the most chances you get. We've saw with all good strikers at Rangers and Celtic, at the end of the day, on their game, if they get the supply, they'll score, and that's what he's doing. He's a goal scorer, that's why they brought him there.
Yeah.
And most good goal scorers with the service they get will score goals.
Amazingly, there were some people actually questioning him when he was only in 2 games.
Yeah, we're not going to obviously chat about Hugh, but no, you're right. I think he's been a great signing. I think he obviously came to Rangers' attention against Malmo. He scored the goals. He put them out. The Champions League qualifier. He's came in. He's hit the ground running. He looks fit. He looks strong. He looks everything that Morelos isn't, to be honest with you. And you know, I don't see Morelos getting back into the team. I think Cholak leads the line well, scoring goals, fit, does a job for the team, and I think that Morelos could be sitting on the bench for out of the World Cup.
Yeah, well, I mean, 14 goals overall, Ruffy, is good going for Cholak. That's 11 in the league, but 14 overall is good going from. I think the Rangers fans like him. I think the big dilemma for everybody now is looking and saying, okay, if Ange Postecoglou is talking about shipping some players out, I wonder what Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is thinking.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he's thinking. It'll be interesting to see in January, and I'm sure the supporters will be interested in January as well. I mean, you've identified 4 or 5 Celtic players that you think might go out the door. I'm sure you could get 6 or 7 Rangers players who should be going out the door as well, you know, and that's the way the supporters will be thinking about it if they're obviously not on the hanging on to Celtic for whatever points the difference is, you know, by the time January comes. So yeah, I just think that there's too many people being there at Rangers now who, and I think the Rangers supporters know the ones that really don't want to be there. They can see by their performances, so they'll be the ones that they're hoping to ship.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I mean, I could rhyme off a good 6 or 7, Tam.
There might be 2 out in January, Kent and Morelos, if they get bids in.
Yeah,
I don't see either of them signing a new deal.
And I don't see them getting a lot of money for them.
No, I spoke about it the other day. I think Morelos, Kent, you know, you wouldn't sell him for $1 million, $2 million, but if you get in above $2 million or above, I think you take the money because they're not going to sign. They are hell bent on trying to leave on a free, you know, and fill their own pockets, which is fine. That's the prerogative. You know, football's a short career, but
Sakala, Roof, Matondo.
Yeah, they've got plenty of options there. So,
but are they people that would take them to the next level? I don't think.
I don't think they will, but I think they would get them to the end of the season.
Yeah,
they're out of Europe anyway. I think they'd be competitive, you know, in the league. But you know, in terms of Kent and Morelos, you know, I don't think they're going to sign a new deal. So if Rangers can get any money for them at all, you know, I think they'd cash it in. Yeah.
Okay, you can give us your thoughts on that. As far as the game against St Johnstone, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst quoted today saying we need to have 9 points from the next week. We have to make sure we attack the right spaces. It will likely be a different game from Aberdeen. We started well against Aberdeen with passing accuracy and speed. Aberdeen tried to press us high up and we used the space very wisely in that game. It's always important to start fast against a team defending. We have to keep our patience and not let it impact our game. This is a St Johnstone side, by the way. There's only one team have managed to score more than 1 goal at McDermott Park, Ruffy, and that was Celtic in a 2-1 win, and it was a late one at that.
Well, St Johnstone used to be the place when they were playing reasonably well. You wouldn't want to go there because they're a wee bit of Livingston. They make it really, really hard for you. You really need to battle. Sometimes you might have to wait till the last 5 minutes to get the goal that wins you a game. But I don't think St Johnstone are there yet this year. Yeah, they produced it a wee bit against Celtic, but Celtic had that many chances in that game. They should have won by about 3 or 4. I think it'll be the same. I just think Rangers are too good for them. The players have still got something to prove, and I always say that when top players have got something to prove, they generally come up with the goods, and I think that's what will happen at the weekend.
Yeah, Gers, I'm looking at the 3 games here, St Johnstone, Hearts and St Mirren. Now that's got to be a 9 points, and Hearts, they've got them at Ibrox.
Yeah, I think anything less than 9 points, you would see Rangers supporters shouting for the manager's head again. I think that he needs to win those 3 games. You need to stay as close as possible to Celtic. Go into the break for the World Cup and then try and strengthen again in January. But 9 points is a minimum for Rangers.
Yep. Okay. What's your prediction, Ruffy? I've gone St Johnstone 1, Rangers 2.
I went Rangers 2, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah. How are they playing at home? So St Johnstone 0, Rangers 2.
Whichever way you want.
Yeah. Okay. Scunnered Ramy there. Did you hear him?
2-1. St Johnstone have obviously back-to-back wins. You know, and not conceding many goals. I think Rangers will just edge it. I went for 2-1 as well.
Did you sense a kind of a wee kind of a bit of friction between him and I, by the way?
I spent too long together.
If you're 4 days, 4 days is actually getting to the point where I have actually just
played around the golf with him for 4 hours, and
you get that, don't you?
I do get that.
I started using industrial language eventually, which well, once we got to the point where I said we're getting on the plane, how are we getting home? And he said, well, my wife's coming for me, and we're just going to go to my daughter's in Edinburgh. So that was Ruffy just saying, by the way, you're not going to lift home. You know, we're doing
selfish.
our own thing.
Very selfish. I would give you a lift home. That's something to bear in mind
for the Bernabeu next season.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, Hearts against Mull. You notice he's not actually chipping in because he accepts everything I'm saying.
No, I would say that fortunately enough, the bed that was in our room was a big bed, and there was no sort of rolling over and touching it.
He's not in the same room. No, are you kidding me? With him? You've got to be off your nut. I wouldn't have gone. So, the mere fact that he was next door was enough. Hearts against Motherwell. I think Stephen Hamill is right to point out, you know, you need goals. You need someone who can score goals, but you can't just rely on one. And that, of course, is what Stephen Hamill's been talking about, Kevin Van Veen.
Yeah, Stuart stepped up recently. Saul scored, Stuart scored a couple with good chances throughout the team, and yeah, it's important that the forward players mostly start to put some good numbers on the board. And yeah, it's a collective, it's a team effort. The same as when we keep a clean sheet at the weekend. It's a team effort, but you know, scoring goals as well. You know, we need to spread them around more. That's obvious.
I'll tell you, the Louis Moult situation just, I think, is irked Stephen Hamill. I think he wanted him to make a contribution. I think the mere fact that he was delighted to get a fan's favourite back and then just hasn't materialised.
Yeah, unfortunately for Louis, he's picked up, you know, dreadful injuries since he went. You know, fantastic first spell at Motherwell. You know, you can forget the lob against Rangers.
Yeah,
2 great goals that day, and got his move to England. But he's been crippled by injuries, and I think Motherwell obviously took a wee punt on him. You know, coming up, you know, can you get him fit? Can you get him back firing? Can you get him back to what he was the first spell? But I don't think that's going to happen, and I think that's left him a wee bit short in the forward areas. But Stuart McKinstry's come in, scored a couple of goals. Player I know well, coached him at Braidhurst. Went down to Leeds, good player. Kevin Van Veen's the one they're kind of heavily reliant on, but I think Hammy's right there. They've got to get more goals from wide areas and midfield players rather than just depending on one or two.
And they're up against a Hearts side, Ruffy, that I think have got a real chance to make a push now. It'll be interesting to see with Europe now out of the equation, as Tam has mentioned on a couple of occasions. They'll now want to try and push. They're only 3 points off third, and they've got a game in hand over Hibs.
No, and I think the Hearts players, for all the disappointment of the way the group went, you know, I think they will have experienced something from that, playing against better players. You know, they'll come back stronger. I don't think that the score lines were that embarrassing. You know, they put in a good shift in some of the games. So, and I noticed they rested maybe 4 or 5 of them last night and only brought them on the last 10-15 minutes. So he knows what's ahead, and he knows what's coming up at the weekend, and I think that's what they were focused on. So I think they'll get their just rewards.
Yeah, I've got Hearts to win 2-1 in this one. Tam, where's your money going?
2-0, fancy home win. I think Hearts are strong at Tynecastle, and as we've said before, I think now's the time for them to start going on a run.
Okay, that's the Scottish Premiership. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. It's uncensored football news and banter as well. It's absolutely free to watch. You download the app, you'll get all the breaking stories and the updates on your phone over the weekend. We've got our reporters out at games, keeping you right up to date with all the goals as they hit the back of the net. So it's well worth sticking with PLZ Soccer, and there's lots more to come, including some fabulous competitions. As you can see, we've got the Modric top there. We've got so many of the tops from across the European campaign for Celtic and Rangers, their opposition. And if I can find it, Ruffy, Hugh Scott says, any chance you found those 2 programmes for Eintracht against Rangers in the Europa League? I'm going to find them this weekend, Ruffy, because
they'll be in your blue room.
They'll be in the blue room. I've had a couple of days off. I'm going to have a bit of time to have a wee scout for them.
I think we all should chip in with something for Christmas.
Well, that would be absolutely magnificent.
I've got a keyring. I've got a Real Madrid keyring.
Yeah, exactly. Got a pint glass. Okay. Hearts 2, Motherwell 1. What did you say, Ruffy?
2-0 Hearts.
2-0 Hearts.
2-0 Hearts, okay. English Premier League fixtures, here they are.
Talking about the Scottish Championship?
Oh no, sorry, I was just about to say that. Sorry,
the absolute meltdown at Firhill.
Well, I was going to say, honestly, look, you'll never believe it. I've got it here on the list, and then I looked at the other list and I thought English Premier League. But I must say here, for any Partick Thistle fan, don't forget, if Partick Thistle go on a, from now until the end of the season, a run which they lose every game, their manager will still be there because the board's backing him all the way, and they've got Dundee tonight at home. Tomorrow at home. By the way, Tam, at home. What happens if they lose?
This'll have fell off a cliff. I mean, is that four defeats in a row? Battered again at the weekend?
3 league games.
In the cup game.
All right, you're not counting.
Seen a lot of goals.
Yeah,
We are.
Any defence? is there any defence at
I've
all?
told you the defence. We're missing 5 of our first team players.
Yeah.
Look at Inverness, they're going through the same trouble, but we'll be back, don't worry. I'd rather have a bad spell now than have that bad spell we had at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because that's the important bit.
Just out of curiosity, this bad spell, and you said you'll be back. Will you be back next season, or is it just a case of?
Oh, we'll be there this year.
You think you're going to? Are you going to be in contention for the title?
Yes.
You think so?
Definitely.
I think
If we
about
have all our
teams.
players fit, we're as good as anybody at the top of that league.
Yeah. Okay.
Defiant talk for Ruffy.
Well, I was going to say that because, well, you call it defiance, I call it excuses. Because quite simply, you've been murdered. You've done the same again.
I can't.
Yeah.
But if you take 5 Celtic's first team players out the team, all right, they've got another 5 to come on. Maybe no Celtic.
Right.
If you take any team apart from Celtic, with 5 players, you're going to struggle a wee bit.
I think Dundee could win tomorrow, Tom.
Of course they can.
They're in a poor run and all. To be honest, I think he's under pressure, the Dundee manager.
I'm going for a draw on that one, actually.
Yeah, I think Thistle might get back on track and get a win. Hopefully for Ruffy, he comes in chirping Monday because he's really disappointed with Thistle.
Absolutely. Okay, well, we'll find out about that. You can give us your views on it. Raith Rovers, Hamilton Accies, Partick Dundee, Inverness against Arbroath, Ayr United, Morton, and Cove Rangers tonight against Queen's Park. Yeah. So there you are. There's your championship for you. Always like to get Ruffy's thoughts on his team. He's had a fair bit of flack over the last few weeks. The English Premier League as well. Here's the fixtures for you to look forward to. Leeds against Bournemouth, Man City, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, Wolves against Brighton, Everton, Leicester City, Chelsea, Arsenal is going to be an absolute belter on Sunday. Aston Villa against Manchester United, Southampton, Newcastle, West Ham, Crystal Palace, and Tottenham against Liverpool is just incredible. And Jurgen Klopp, looking at that fixture, reckons this is just one of those games you would have expected in the Champions League.
It's a difficult place to go, a really good team, extremely well coached, and a real fighting unit. So there are no friendly games against them. Antonio's on his toes on the sideline. The players are in challenges and blah blah blah, all these kind of things. So it will be a tough one. But that's what we actually all want. It's like a Champions League game in the Premier League. So
I don't know about this one. I'm worried about Liverpool, Ruffy, at the moment.
So you should be.
Yeah, I can see Tottenham winning this one.
Well, that would put you in a downer for the weekend.
Well, that's why I'm saying to you. I mean, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, it's just still not right. Okay, it was a hard-fought win over Napoli, but
Napoli had already qualified. I don't think they were taking it too seriously. I think their main aim this season is Serie A.
Yeah.
I'd fancy Spurs to win that and all.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Ruffy?
3-0 Spurs.
3-0. Okay, it's going to be a belter of a game. We love talking about football, north, south of the border, Champions League, and I'm sure you'll agree with Kerry and with Adam. Ruffy and myself have been all over the place. Tam was down at Liverpool with us. We've been covering Champions League. We're going to continue right through covering the World Cup as well, so it's great news for Tam, who thought he was going to be out on a golf course. You're going to be at the heart of it with us.
When do we go? When do we fly over?
Well, we're waiting. I don't think we should fly over. We should take the moral high ground here and decide just to stay here and do it. You know,
I got that heat and that anyway. We're so warm over there.
Suddenly, we're taking the moral high ground, Ruffy, as others will undoubtedly head out there. And
I thought it was a good idea. The boys that are going, who are going to stay on a cruise ship off the island.
It's a brilliant idea, isn't it, Ruffy?
You know,
why are they doing that, Tam? Why are they staying on a cruise ship off the island?
Don't know.
Well, because then they're not subject to the same rules of no drink.
All right.
So there you are, that's the perfect place to do it. If we had a cruise, I was just about to say, love boat. If we had a cruise ship, Ruffy, we'd be out there, wouldn't we?
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. Great idea, but there's a lot of other issues, isn't there?
Eh?
A lot of other issues.
Not in a cruise ship, there ain't. For 4 weeks, that'd be unbelievable. I'd certainly love it, but nevertheless, we're not going. But we will be bringing you lots of World Cup interviews, lots of one-to-ones, and lots of prizes that I think you're going to enjoy. So tell your mates, download the app.
Maybe competition as well with the punters. You could do a name the finalists. Something like that.
Tam's really cranking. Hey, that's impressive from him, isn't it? He's really
name the finalists. Who's going to win it? Name the finalists and who's going to win it.
He's cranking it up.
Give them a prize.
It's a great shout.
That's
Tam.
what I'll bring. He doesn't.
Absolutely. Don't worry, I think you'll win most days. Anyway, who was the last Celtic player to score in the Bernabeu before Jota? That was the question at the start. Ruffy, have you got an
somebody
answer?
told me when I was away, but I forgot.
You've forgotten. Okay, do you want to make a go of it and just
No,
have a wee
because
name?
it'll be a decade out.
No, just try a name. Somebody who's a prolific goal scorer for
George
Celtic.
McCluskey.
Oh, I was going to say George McCluskey.
George McCluskey, what were you going to say though? If he's
I was going to say George
I don't
McCluskey.
care, he said George McCluskey. Give us a name. Somebody.
What'd you call him?
Prolific, think prolific. It's as simple as that.
Dixie Deans.
No, Dixie, I'm not going for Dixie. I'm going to go for Stevie Chalmers.
That was not a bad guess, Ruffy, but Bobby Lennox.
Oh, wasn't he far away?
So there you are. In the Alfredo Di Stefano testimonial,
right.
Celtic defeated.
Last time Celtic scored there?
Yep, Celtic defeated.
I've not played it, read that many times ever.
It's been a long time. Thanks to Gary, who says, I'll see you at the Hilton on Saturday. You absolutely will, Gary. I'm really looking forward to it. The amount of people, Tam, and this is the God's honest truth, I'm not lying to you, the amount of people that come up to us in Madrid, Ruffy, who said they'll watch the show, they'll love it, they download it. Some people listen to it as a podcast. Other people watch it on their phones on the app.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was absolutely stunned. Every road we went down, there was somebody wanting a photograph or somebody saying, "Oh, where's Tom?"
Yeah. And the other, and the last.
Why did you never send a picture of a pint or something?
No, we were actually going to do that, but the last point I'm going to leave you with was the best of them all, Tam. I'm in the foyer at the hotel, and a boy comes up to me with his dad, and he said, "Peter, is there any chance I could get a photograph with you?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely no problem." And he says, "Is there any chance we could ask your sidekick, Alan Brazil, if he wants to come in as well?" I was like that. Alan Brazil? I said, yes, get him over. Yeah. That done him in. It was absolutely brilliant. Anyway, thanks to so many of you for downloading the podcast and of course the app. You can get it on PLZ Soccer in the App Store and in Google Play as well. Thanks to Tam, thanks to Ruffy. Don't forget, tomorrow Kerry will be with Tam and Ruffy for the preview of the Saturday fixtures. If you're looking for a wee bit more extra football chat, then well worth it. Kerry's got a quiz with these two, testing them on their football knowledge.
By the way, we'll give too much away.
Landslide?
Oh.
Well, anyway.
Jet lag.
So if you want to catch that, you can. Shut up, you will you? If you want to, you can catch that tomorrow on our YouTube channel. But the best way to join the football family, hit the subscribe button as well as downloading the app. And also you can follow us on Facebook. So thank you to you for watching. Have a great weekend. Whatever match you're going to, go there, support your team, stay safe. And we'll see you tomorrow with Kerry, and I'll be back on Monday.